right, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, August 19th, 2021. Nice big gap down here this morning, so let's get after it here. Right, like I just mentioned, pretty decent gap down right under that kind of resistance that we were looking at or sort of talking about sort of all week, right? So under this, say 436 area, right, we keep seeing dip buyers protecting this zone. Well, now we're gapping down, kind of opening under that area, right, under that kind of key resistance mark where it was challenging to be bearish. So now, bearish moves are very much in play, where it almost looks like that's the path of least resistance, right, towards that 432, right, 428, 424, and then maybe kind of back towards this trend line at that 422 mark, right? So there's a couple ways we can look to trade this morning. One, right, we're going to have to see how volume reacts, right, to this sell-off, right? Is this a dramatic move, right? All things considered, yeah, right? Big Bollinger Band breakdown, right? So we're still maybe anticipating that it's going to revert to the mean, right? And revert back towards the midline unless proven otherwise. So what does that mean, right? We want to see that opening volume, right? We're going to be happy that it's still going to keep selling if that opening volume is still very strong to the downside. So we want to see a volume bar, right, on the 5-minute time frame at this open that looks like this closing volume bar yesterday, right? We want to see a lot of sellers, right, pile in to push this thing down, if it's going to continue to show signs of weakness today. Right, if it's unable to do that, then the reversion back towards the mean, right, that BB reversion sets up and we have a chance to kind of play a pretty big reversal move. So it's going to be important to watch the volume here on this SPY. This is a really big gap down, right, about $4, something like that. So when you get that kind of action, right, you always want to be a little bit careful chasing this down, right? So let's wait for volume to show us what to do, right? Similar story here on QQQ, right, where we had that 360 zone that we're watching, right, and want to see how resistance reacted there, right, before we took any plays, right, to the downside. So we've lost that 360 mark, right? We have a little bit of room here now down towards that 356 area, right? But we're still going to want to see the volume profile and see if the volume is going to match this narrative to give us that follow-through continuation. So same thing as the SPY, right? If we get that strong 5-minute volume bar, right, initial strong 5-minute volume, right, then we can look. If for whatever reason it's not, right, then we'll switch to the 15-minute time frame, right? Wait for that to be the strongest volume of the day, right? Sorry, strongest volume compared to previous day, right? And then look if we can get that, find that momentum that way, right? Apple hanging out around this 145 area pre-market. Right, if we can break down under this 145, then we have a chance to play this wedge move down towards that 142.50, right, and then that 141.75. We'll have to see how this thing reacts, right? If the market goes weak and we get a big sell in the market, then something like this Apple's going to absolutely fly down as well. So I think there's a lot of potential here, right? It's a failed breakout over this 150, 170 area, right? So failed breakdown, nice breakdown. Now we're getting a potential wedge breakdown. So let's see if we can get this continuation move. Again, it's going to depend on the markets, right? And we'll have to see how those come together. But looking for moves under that 145 area. Right? Tesla showing us, yesterday showed us a lot of relative strength, right? But still couldn't really get up and over that 700 mark. For now, I think this is probably one to just kind of watch and just hang out on, right? If we get breaks down under the 648 area, okay, that starts to get interesting for bearish moves, right, down towards that 625. But I'm not quite ready to take a stab there yet. I still got a little bit of room to go, and we're going to want to watch the market here, right? Similar story with this Microsoft, right? We had that failed attempt at that 295 yesterday. Didn't quite give us the head fake, but certainly got close. Now a good breakdown on big volume. So if we lose this shelf, right, this 280, 280 shelf, right, you got that gap to fill, and then Microsoft can really start going down towards that 276, right, 275 area. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for. Maybe this is going to start breaking today, right, breaking down today. But if it gets that 282 break, I'm probably not going to chase that today, right? That might be better to chase tomorrow, right? Look for that breakdown tomorrow or maybe on Monday. So I think this looks really strong, but maybe look strong for a few days from now, not for today. So there's a few other plays here, right, that kind of continue to give us some hope, right? We're going to continue to look at this AMD for moves under this 101 now, right? We're looking for moves under that 103, but we're gapping down under there. So we're looking for this bear flag continuation, right, for a move towards that 100 and then that 96.70 areas. I like this AMD a lot, right? We've had that big failed breakdown, right? Bear flag. So I think we have a chance to get down towards that $95 area by the end of the week, right? Something like this Johnson & Johnson also looks like another one of those interesting possible reversion plays, right? This thing has been going parabolic mode, basically just going straight up over, say, the last week or so, right? Then yesterday, finished the day off with a DTR bearish engulfing, where that means it's engulfing on volume, right? And it's engulfing candle pattern. So that looks really strong to the downside, right? If we can get continuation moves, maybe like look to break under now, whatever low this is, Monday's low, right? So we can get breakdown under there, then we can start moving towards that 175.20 area. This might work best as a bearish swing, right, on really small size. So we'll see how this thing comes together, but again, right, looks pretty interesting for now. We'll have to see how it reacts to the pre-market action, but certainly looks like there's potential for downside continuation. Right, same thing here with the snow. Had still kind of holding this trend line here, but now gapping down a little bit. Right, if we lose that 268 area, right, lose that 268 shelf, then the moves towards 260 very much come back into play here. I like to see how this thing looks, right, but I like the way it's holding up, right. I like the way it's kind of behaving. You can maybe look for moves under that 270 towards that 268, but I think maybe there's a little bit more potential for moves under 268 for that kind of consistent follow through. Hey, good morning, Max. How you doing? Right, this D-Dog, this is one if things go bullish this morning, right? We're still waiting for that 137.50 break. I mean, probably a little bit ambitious to get there now today. But one to still keep an eye on, right, if it decides to break out or break down, right? Something like this Disney is giving us a bigger gap down than I was sort of expecting sort of last night, right? Getting a pretty decent amount of fall through. So now we're looking for kind of moves under this 170 area towards that 170 zone. So 171, towards 170, right? So decent sized gap down right off this 3 red soldiers breakdown. Tried to play further continuation moves yesterday, but just couldn't get that nice fall through. Looks like we were a little bit early, like a day early, and now this looks like it's ready to break. So moves, if we lose that 171 area, then that 170, we can move down towards that 168 area with very limited resistance. So I like this Disney. If we get breaks down under that 170, right, I might not go half size, but breaks under that 171 will be half size for now, right, and we'll kind of adapt from there, right? So something like this SQ might be running without us a little bit. I was hoping to get this inside bar breakdown under this 257 area, but we're gapping down towards that 254. So let's see how we react kind of pre-market, right? Now we might look for moves under that 252 towards that 250, right? And then that 245, 243, 240 areas. So there's a lot of still potential here on this inside bar breakdown, right? It kind of looks like that back has been broken. Now you're getting that inside bar trigger, right? Failed breakout yesterday. Now you're looking for those downside moves. Okay, Amazon, right? Another one that's, everything's kind of breaking its back today, right? So now we're going to start looking for moves under this 3170 area, right? We're looking for breaks down under that 3200. Couldn't find any kind of consistent follow through here last night. Now getting that gap down. So let's see if we can get that breakdown here under this sort of next kind of little baby level, right? And then that opens up the door to move like $30 at a time. So something like that could be a lot of fun if it continues to set up, right? Adobe, we're going to see if we can find that trend line breakdown here, right? If the market continues to look weak, right? We're looking for a break under this 620 area to go towards that 616, right? 613, and then maybe that 610 zone. So you got $10 of downside action pretty comfortably on this Adobe. And let's make sure that the option volume here is good. So need something that's got option volume strike of 1K or better. Sorry, option volume of 1K or better on the strike price that you're looking at. And hopefully that will give us that nice setup, right, for that continuation breakdown. Facebook, another one of those trend line breakdowns here, right? We're starting to see a little bit of weakness. Now we're starting to see if we get a breakdown under this 350 area, right? It moves under 350, can go towards that 347, right? 347 plus. Pre-market hanging out 352 approximately, we'll call it, right? So not that far away if we can get that inside bar breakdown continuation, right, on this trend line failure. So seems to have lost the trend a little bit, right? And let's see if it's going to want to recover. Right, so yeah, I would say that 350 area looks pretty good for breakdowns under. Right, Ford's another one who's got this wedge breakdown Wednesday inside bar. So we get that continuation move under this 1275. You might have room down towards that $12 shelf here. And then if you get real mega follow through, maybe down towards this $11 mark. This is one from the cheap seats, right? So if you are interested in playing this, you can maybe get away with playing this without playing this with options, right? You can play this with shares if the borrow is available and cheap. But this looks pretty good if you can get that fall through to the downside. Right, back, same thing. Kind of like that square where you had that kind of broken back kind of starting to happen, and then you get that inside bar on it, right? So you have that kind of back starting to break and then inside bar trigger. So now we're getting that big gap down, right? We're going to maybe look to try to play this gap fill. So we get that breakdown under now this 39.80, right? You can go towards that 39.50 for a gap fill down towards that 39 mark. Again, maybe we'll find better setups. This already moved quite a bit pre-market, so might be able to get a little bit more action here, right? Finally, this docu looks like it could be an interesting one. Has not moved much pre-market, which compared to some of the other names is quite the outlier, right? Looking for this inside bar breakdown now here under this 280 area to move towards that 277, right? And then that 270 zone. I think docu has a lot of potential if it can break down as well. Right, so last but not least, I kind of want to highlight the VIX today, right? Really big gap up on it, right? We've absolutely rocket shipped back well above that 20 mark, right? Hanging out that 24 area. So that's going to imply a little bit of volatility, and maybe we're going to get a little bit of action here today, right? Bias, I still think is we're going to have to see, do dip buyers come in and support this, right? Or are they going to give us a kind of concentrated and focused sell-off, right? From kind of the setups that we were seeing today, it certainly looks like everything is pointing to the downside, and that it doesn't really look like it's necessarily a sector rotation, right? It looks like it's a kind of a general dump across asset classes, right? Or sort of across sectors. So let's keep an eye on that, right? If we start seeing maybe tech going strong, but something like financials going weak, right? Maybe it's just like a sneaky rotation, but we'll have to keep an eye on that, right? So let's see, right? We're not going to fight the market today, right? Kind of general theme for the week is if the market is red, right, we're looking for puts. If the market is green, we're looking for calls, and we're not going to compromise on that. It looks like we have enough kind of bearish setups, right, to play this to the downside. If things do go strong, right, if things do kind of recover here in the morning, then we'll look to play them. We'll look to play the core 5 with Bollinger Band reversion strategies, and see if we can get a nice setup there. So other than that, guys, right, it looks like might have a little bit of action here this morning. We're going to continue to wait for that right, strong, perfect setup, and then look to chase good action. So that's kind of what I'm looking for today. Let's hope it all comes together. For those of you who are watching and want to join DTR and kind of trade these setups with me, right, we're free for the month of August. So come check us out through my website at www.dtrtrading.com. Link is in the description below, and we hope to see you guys there. Otherwise, best of luck today. Happy hunting, and make sure that you manage your position size and risk accordingly, right? Make sure that whatever happens today, that you still have a chance to return to the market tomorrow. Anyway, guys, best of luck. Kill it today, and see you all tomorrow.